Welcome to ANR Solver question 7 of this paper. So they are asking us for part A to find the value of x, and they are telling us that oranges cost 21 cents each, and Alex buys x oranges, Bobby buys x plus 2 oranges, and the total cost of these oranges is 4.2. So the total cost, so we must multiply the cost of one orange with the number of oranges that Alex and Bobby bought. So 21 cents is $0.12, $0.21. So it would be 0.21 multiplied by the number of oranges. So 0.21 multiplied by x, which is 0.21x, plus 0.21 multiplied by x plus 2, because they are saying that the total cost is $4.2. So therefore we have to take the sum of both the costs of Alex and Bobby. So 0.21x plus, we expand this bracket, so 0.21 multiplied by x is 0.21x, and 0.21 multiplied by 2 is plus 0.42, which is equal to 4.2. Now 0.21 plus 0.21 is equal to 0.42x, which is equal to 4.2 minus 0.42. So 4.2 minus 0.42 is equal to 3.78, and therefore x will be equal to 9, because 3.78 multiplied by 0.42 is equal to divided by 0.42 is equal to 9. Therefore the final answer for part A would be 9, or your value of x would be 9. Now let's move to part B, where they are telling us that the cost of one ruler is R cents, the cost of one protractor is P cents. The total cost of 5 rulers and 1 protractor is 245 cents. So let's write an equation. So 5 rulers, so 5 multiplied by R, because the cost of 1 ruler is R. So the total cost of the rulers would be 5 multiplied by R is equal to 5R. So 5R plus 1 protractor, so 1 multiplied by P, that's P, is equal to 245 cents. And the total cost of 2 rulers and 3 protractors is 215 cents. So 2R plus 3P is equal to 215 cents. Now you can either use the substitution method or the elimination method to solve these equations as a simultaneous equation. So, and we do this because we have to find the values of R and P, so that we can know the cost of one protractor. Now, so since we only have to find the cost of one protractor, let's directly solve for P. So we'll cancel out the R in this case. So we'll multiply the second equation by 5 and the first equation by 2. So both of them will be equal to 10R plus 2P will be equal to 490, and the second equation will be 10R plus 15P will be equal to 215 multiplied by 5, which is equal to 1075. Now we have to subtract the second equation from the first, so let's do that. 10R and minus 10R will get cancelled, so this will become minus 15P and this will become minus 1075. So 2 minus 15 is equal to minus 13, so it will become minus 13P is equal to 490 minus 1075, which is equal to negative 585. So now we can cancel the negative and the negative. Therefore, P will be equal to 585 divided by 13. So if we put this in the calculation, 585 divided by 13, it will be equal to 45. Therefore, we know that one protractor costs 45 cents. Therefore, this will be your final answer for part B of this question. You don't need to entirely solve the simultaneous equation, because they are only asking you for the cost of protractor. So you can directly solve for P and you will find the cost of your protractor and the final answer for part B. And therefore, part B is done. Now let's move to part C. So they are telling us that Carol walks 12 kilometers at x kilometers per hour and then further 6 kilometers at x minus 1 kilometers per hour. And they are telling us that the total time taken is 5 hours. So the formula for total time taken is equal to total distance divided by the speed. So we can solve this. So we have to add the time for both the separate distances. So total distance, which is 12, divided by the speed, which is x, plus the total distance, which is 6, divided by the speed for this amount of distance is x minus 1, which is equal to the total time, that is 5 hours. Now how you solve this is, you have to first take the LCM of both the fractions that are on the left hand side of the equation and then solve for x. But you don't entirely solve, you have to reach this quadratic equation. You don't have to solve it yet. So let's do that. So the easiest way to to write it as a single fraction is to cross multiply. So you will write 12 times x minus 1 plus 6 times x, which is 6x, and the whole thing divided by x multiplied by x minus 1, which is equal to 5. So you can take the denominator to the other side of the equation. So it will become 12x minus 12 plus 6x will be equal to 5 times x square minus x. So what I did here is I just expanded everything. So basically, if you expand 12x minus 1, so 12 into x is 12x, 12 into minus 1 is minus 12, and plus 6 comes as it is for now. Now for the denominator, what I did is I expanded x multiplied by x, which is x square, and x multiplied by minus 1, which is minus x. So it will be x square minus x, and we take that to the other side of the equation. So now what you do is you simplify the left hand side of the equation and you expand on the right hand side. So 12 plus 6 is equal to 18x, which is equal to 5x square minus 5x, minus 5x plus 12. So what I did here is I expanded the right hand side of the equation. So 5 multiplied by x square is 5x square, 5 multiplied by minus x is minus 5x, and I took the minus 12 from the left hand side of the equation to the other side of the equation, so it became positive 12. And now all we have to do is take 18x to the other side of the equation, so it will become 5x. I'll write it on the other side. So it will become, so 5x square minus 5x. Now since we got the 18x to the other side, it will become negative 18x plus 12 is equal to 0. And therefore we can simplify this further. So 5x minus 23x plus 12 is equal to 0. And therefore this will be your final answer for part C1 of this question. Now let's move to part C2. So for part C2, they are asking us to factorize this equation or this expression. So the first step to doing this should be to see if there are any two numbers that will give you a product of, in this case, 5 multiplied by 12, which is 60. So a product of 60 and a difference of negative 23. This is because the x square term has a coefficient. So you will multiply it with the last term of the expression. So 5 multiplied by 12, which is 60. Now we have to see if 60 or if there are any two numbers that give us a product of 60 and that have a difference of 23. So let's see. So if we divide 60 by 3, So it will be equal to 20. Therefore, there are two numbers, that is 20 and 3. So we can say, or we can write that the two factors would be 20 and 3. So we can write 5x square plus, not plus, sorry. Both of them have to be minus to reach minus 23. And if it is minus 3 multiplied by minus 20, it will be equal to positive 60. So minus 20x minus 3x plus 12. And now what you do is you take what is common between the first two terms and the last two terms. So what is common between the first two terms in this case would be 5x. So we take 5x common, and therefore you will be left with x minus 20, not 20, sorry, x minus 4, and you remove plus 3 common, so you'll be left with x minus you remove negative 3 common, so you'll be left with x minus 4 again. So what I did over here is I removed the common parts of the first two terms, that is the 5x square and minus 20x. So in this case it was 5x, that was the common part. So if you remove 5x, you divide the terms by 5x. So 5x square divided by 5x is equal to x, and negative 20x divided by 5x is equal to negative 4. So I did the same thing in the next two terms. So negative 3x plus 12, in between those two terms the negative 3 is common, so you remove negative 3 and you will be left with x and minus 4, because 3x, negative 3x divided by negative 3 is equal to x, and 12 divided by negative 3 is equal to negative 4. Therefore you will be left with these two answers, that is 5x minus 3 and x minus 4. Now it is very important to make sure that these two brackets are the same. That's why I took negative 3 common in the second term, so that we would get the same bracket or the same answer. So therefore your final answer for part C2 will be 5x minus 3 multiplied by x minus 4. Now let's move on to part C3. So for part C3, they are asking us to solve this equation. So this is very easy. All we need to do is the factorization that we did in the previous step. We can just equate our answers from that to 0. So we can equate 5x minus 3 to 0 and x minus 4 to 0, and we'll get our two x answers. So if we equate x minus 4 to 0, it will be x minus 4 is equal to 0. So therefore x would be equal to positive 4. So that would be one of your answers. And if we equate the 5x minus 3 to 0, we'll get our x value as 3 divided by 5. So therefore x would be 4, or x could be 3 by 5. Now let's find, so they are asking us to write down Carol's walking speed during the final 6 kilometers. So they told us that the final 6 kilometers she walks at the speed of x minus 1 kilometers per hour. So therefore now we have two values of x. Now which value of x to use? So you will try out with both the values of x. So x minus 1 is the speed. So if we substitute x as 4, we will get our speed as 3 kilometers per hour. But if we substitute our speed as 3 by 5, so if the speed is x minus 1, if we substitute our speed as 3 by 5 minus 1, we'll get our answer as negative 2 by 5 kilometers per hour. Now speed cannot be negative, or it cannot, because you have to walk at a positive amount of speed. If you walk at a negative speed, then that would be deceleration, so you would be going backwards. So not deceleration, but yeah, so the speed can't be negative, it has to be positive. So your final answer would be 3 kilometers per hour, because you cannot use the 3 by 5 answer or the value that we got as x. So that value of x we cannot use. Therefore, you will use your value of x as 4, and your final answer for part C4 will be 3 kilometers per hour.